Hello everyone, it's Peter, and I'm back with my story. Last time, I told you about how Hannah, the daughter of the Yakuza boss, offered to help me and gave me a job that pays $1 million per month. Today, I'll show you how I became a Yakuza myself and lived a great life until a stranger knocked on my door and threatened to get rid of me. Also, how Hannah and I had a really awkward encounter after which we decided to go on a date. Though, I didn't know she would invite some evil guests along with her, who would get me locked in a small and dirty chamber with her. Before I begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to show your support. "25 days had passed since I met Hannah. A lot of things changed. My life took a complete 180-degree turn. It was impossible to imagine that I was in such a pathetic condition when the Yakuza threatened me. Now, I had established a presence for myself. Heads used to turn in my direction whenever I entered a room. Everything from my way of living to my way of dressing up had changed. Instead of wearing the rags that my parents had left for me, I now used to wear coats, ties, and dark sunglasses. I now had the aura of an influential person. You must be wondering what kind of job Hannah gave me. I told her that I was good at math, so she assigned me the task of handling some of the finances of the business. But that was not the only thing I used to do. I had to accompany her to restaurants and street vendors to ask for money. Apparently, this was some kind of Yakuza thing. Small and big businesses had to pay to these Yakuza men if they wanted security for themselves. If anyone refused to pay, then their business was destroyed by the Yakuza. Of course, no law and no police could help those poor vendors or owners. It was kind of unfair, but this was nothing compared to the other sort of illegal things that Yakuza was involved in. Whenever I went with Hannah to collect money, I would feel bad and guilty. Since I came from a really pitiable background myself, I could relate to the misery of all those businessmen who had to part with their money unwillingly just so they could keep their shops and business safe. If you want to survive in this world, then you should learn not to bring your emotions into business, Hannah used to say. Well, it's not like I could argue with her on that. I was a part of Yakuza now. If I had realized anything after spending so much time with Hannah, that it was that she was really unforgiving. She was strict and cutthroat when it came to money. Feelings were a big no-no when she was doing her job. Sometimes, I wondered how she could sympathize with my predicament when she was this cold. I guess I was lucky that she even noticed me. Anyway, that was pretty much what I was doing in order to earn $1 million per month. In the end, I had become a slave to money too. It's not like I wanted it or that I was doing it for myself. I was doing this just to save my life. And, my fingers too. Though all this was not easy. I was putting my life at risk every day. And I'm not even referring to the Yakuza's enemy. I'm talking about Hannah's father. If he ever found out that I was working in his organization and that Hannah was paying me, he would surely flip. Thus, I had to make sure to maintain a low profile. Time flew and the month came towards an end. On the last day, I received a message. No, a threat from Hannah's father. The threat read, "Where's my money? Get ready to sacrifice your finger if you can't pay." As much as I had prepared myself for this moment, the panic and fear I felt then wasn't something I could control. My heart was beating so fast that it felt like I would die any second. I still hadn't received the money from Hannah. I began typing a text to her when my doorbell suddenly went off. I was startled for a second. Crap. The Yakuza were already here. How was I going to get the money from Hannah now? They wouldn't listen to any excuses of mine and would just drag me to their leader. I was so doomed. I started walking towards the door slowly. But the person outside started banging on the door. At this rate, they were going to break it. "Open the dang door or I'll barge in!" the person yelled. It was definitely a Yakuza man's voice. I hurried to the door and opened it. My breath almost hitched in my throat when I saw Hannah standing in front of me. "Hannah?" I asked in shock. "What the heck? You almost gave a heart attack." Oops, sorry, she laughed. I was just playing with you. Did you think I abandoned you at a crucial moment? I released a tired breath. I thought that you forgot to give me the money. I know you would never do it on purpose. Dang, you do trust me a lot, don't you? She shook her head with a smile. Anyway, here. She handed me a briefcase. That's $1 million in cash, she said. Toss it at my dad's face. He's going to be so shocked. I can't wait to see his defeated expression. I swear, I almost cried tears of joy when I opened the briefcase and held the money after all. 1 down, 10 more to go. I was so excited that I hugged Hannah. Thank you! Thank you so much! You have no idea what it means to me. It's no big deal, she said awkwardly, patting my back. That's when I realized what I was doing. We were in a bit of an uncomfortable position, and I didn't even know whether I was allowed to hug Hannah. Oh, God. This was awkward. I pulled away from her and she averted her eyes. I'm sorry, I quickly apologized. I wasn't thinking and It's fine, Peter, she cut in with a smile. I don't mind. If it was someone else, I would have probably pushed them off a cliff, but you're not just someone. Whoa. Where was this going? Oh, hey, after you turn from my dad's, would you like to go out on a date with me? She asked. My eyes widened. Date? As in, a real date? She gave me an amused look. Yeah, a real date. I don't do fake dates. Just say no if you're not interested. Of course, I am interested, I quickly said. I mean, I would like to go with you. She laughed. Okay then, go and deal with my dad first. I went to her dad's place after that and gave him the money. He was waiting for me with a sword. He probably thought he would take my finger. When I gave him the money, his eyes almost bulged out of their sockets. It was clearly an expression that said, "How the heck did you arrange the money?" I walked away satisfied and happy, having no idea of what, or rather, who was following me. Hannah's dad was so curious about my source of income that he sent his spies after me. Of course, I didn't know it back then. I went to meet Hannah, completely oblivious to everything. Our date was going great. Having known each other for a month, it was easy for us to fall into a pattern and get to know each other even more. I'm not gonna lie. I'd liked Hannah from the moment I met her. She was my savior, and as if that wasn't enough, she had so many likable characteristics that anyone would be attracted to her. I'd never met a girl as bold as Hannah. She was fearless and rebellious, and I really liked her for that. We talked about this and that. I had no idea that the spies were hearing everything and could know about our plan. I have the crappiest luck in the world. Towards the end of the night, Hannah leaned in to kiss me. I was about to get closer to her when suddenly the Yakuza men barged in and seized the two of us. They brought us to their leader. He was really furious. "Hannah, how dare you!" he fumed. "How could you betray your family and give money to a stranger? Is this how you repay my affection and generosity?" I opened my mouth to defend Hannah, but he glared at me, effectively shutting up my mouth. Hannah didn't say anything, and her face remained calm the whole time her dad yelled at her. I felt like this was my fault. I should have been more careful. Hannah was only trying to help me, and now she was in trouble. I didn't even know what the Yakuza was going to do now. He seemed angrier at Hannah than me. "You should be thankful that you are my blood," he said at last. "I will go easy on you." Hannah scoffed. "Cut the act. Both of us know that you need me if you want to stay in the business." Okay, she just provoked him and made it worse. He clenched his jaw and ordered his men to throw both Hannah and me in solitary confinement. We were brought in a dingy cellar in the basement. There was a weird smell in the place, and I was pretty sure that this was where the Yakuza kept their enemies, or anyone who got on their nerves. What was going to happen now? Hannah's dad was not going to stay silent for long. Even if he spared Hannah's life out of necessity, what would happen to me? He could just get rid of me anytime he wanted. I felt like I was going to faint from all the stress. Now, I could only wait and see what was to become of me. Hello everyone, you probably recognize me by now. I'm Peter. Last time, I told you about how the Yakuza boss found me and Hannah's secret, and locked us up in a small and filthy chamber. Today, I'll tell you about how we survived without food and water for 5 days and ended up getting very close to each other. The Yakuza boss played with my life once again, and introduced me to a new kind of threat. Also, how my mathematical skills came to my rescue and helped me take the path of making more money than the Wolf of Wall Street. But before I begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to show your support. Hannah and I were kept in solitary confinement for 5 days straight. We were not given any food or a single drop of water. We were growing weaker day by day. It's a mystery how we were still alive. I could bet my life that the boss was waiting for one or both of us to die. Did I mention the kind of yucky environment we were in? There were dead rats lying around us. Don't even get me started on the ones that were alive. The cellar used to fill with Hannah and I's screams several times a day because of these rats and whatever insects were lurking around. The only thing that kept me going through these days was Hannah. She was literally my lifeline. I guess I should be thankful to the Yakuza boss to bring me even closer to Hannah. He could have never even imagined that he was doing us a favor by throwing us in the cellar together. Our shared hatred for our parents was a topic that we could talk about for hours. I told you, didn't I? Hannah said. My dad is a jerk. He doesn't really care about me. He just uses me as a tool to earn money and stay in the business. That's quite awful, I told her. But yeah, I can totally relate. My parents may have never used me for anything. But in the end, they abandoned me and got me tangled up in this whole mess. Hey, but at least that led us to somewhere good, right? She asked brightly. I glanced around the cellar. If this place seems good to you, then, No, silly, she intervened. I'm talking about our relationship. We got to know each other and... Oh, you did get rid of your stupid parents, though not in a good way. But still, think positive thoughts. And this is how Hannah used to lift my mood daily. Honestly, I envied her for being so bright and hopeful in every kind of situation. It was shocking to think that she had a tough side as well. I mean, I had seen her acting cold and heartless with others. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that I was falling for her. But, well, it was not the right time to even confess my feelings. I didn't even know what kind of future I was looking at. On the morning of the 6th day, the lock was opened and Hannah's father appeared before us. As expected from my blood, he said to Hannah. You are still breathing. Well, Peter's not your blood, and he's still breathing too, Hannah retorted. You shouldn't think so highly of yourself. Shut up, he fumed. Looks like you've forgotten your manners after spending time with this boy. That's why you need to be punished. My eyes widened. What was he gonna do now? I'm kicking you out of my property, and you've been cut off from the business and inheritance, he declared. What do you mean? Hannah frowned. I'm the one who made this business possible. You can't just... I can and I will, he said in a stern voice. I'm also taking away all the money that you've earned until now. Go and enjoy a broke life like this boy here. Oh, this reminds me. He turned to me. I've thought of an easy way to deal with you. If he was this cruel to Hannah, what would he do to me? I shuddered just at the thought. I will just get rid of you right now, he said, pulling out his sword. I should have never let you live in the first place. Before I could even process his words, Hannah yelled at him to stop. She fell to his feet and started crying, begging him to let me go. So pathetic, her dad said in disgust. What have you reduced yourself to for a boy like him who can't even offer you a secure life? Please, let him go, she repeated, ignoring his hateful words. I was almost certain that he would kick her aside and get done with me. But Suddenly, he lowered his sword and gave me a thoughtful look. "It would be boring to just end you here," he said. "I would rather watch you suffer for a few more days." "What do you mean?" I asked, trying not to appear as fearful as I felt on the inside. "You will have to now pay me $20 million in 3 months. This is your last chance. No excuses and no negotiations. And you better do it on your own. If I find out that you're tricking me like last time, then..." He left the threat hanging in the air. Honestly, I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the rest of it. I'd suffered from uncountable death scares in the last 1 month or so. Any more, and I would probably never open my eyes again. I instantly agreed to whatever he was saying, because my primary goal was to get out of there. I could figure out the rest later. I left the place along with Hannah. I don't know how we even got to my home. The whole journey felt like a dream. I was starting to have hallucinations about dead rats. It was nothing less than a nightmare. At my home, we sat to think about our next course of action. "I feel more depressed now than I was in the cellar," Hannah said. "I can't believe he took away everything from me. Does he even deserve to call himself a father?" "I'm sorry. For everything," I said in a low voice. "This happened to you because you decided to help me. I never wanted to trouble you like this." "Ugh! Don't go there, Peter," she scolded. "This happened because of the decisions I made out of my own free will. You have no part in it, got it? Now, think about how you're going to arrange the money. Before that, let's eat." I nodded and cooked the last bowl of ramen left in my kitchen. Hannah and I shared it among ourselves. As I wandered to various places, Hannah suddenly yelped in shock. I glanced down to see that she had accidentally spilled the ramen on my clothes. "I'm so sorry," she quickly apologized. "Wait, I might have something to help you clean up." She rummaged through her bag and pulled out some papers. "Here, you can clean up with that." My eyes fell on the content of the papers. They had insider financial information of the companies that the Yakuza owned. "Whoa, how did they allow you to bring these?" I asked her in shock. "Oh, crap! I think I packed them accidentally along with my clothes and other stuff," she replied. "I was in a hurry, so I didn't have the time to check. And since these papers were in my room, no one bothered. Are they useful for you?" I had an idea, but it was a long shot, so I wasn't sure. I gave her a nod. "I have some idea about the stock market, and as you already know, I'm really interested in math. So I was thinking of using all this info and my knowledge to predict the stock prices of these companies." "Wow, sounds complicated," she remarked. "It is, but I don't see any other ways I can earn money fast," I replied. "I think I should try this. I still have about $300 in my account. It's the only amount I could save from part-time jobs. I'm thinking of investing this and multiplying it." Peter, it's really risky. You can end up losing even your savings," she said hesitantly. "I'll support you no matter what you do, but please don't rush into anything, okay?" She was right. But what could I do? I was short on time. I had to rush. I invested my money the next day and expected to see the results right away. But what I received instead was shock after shock. My predictions were correct only 2 out of 5 times. I was losing out on a lot because of this. I realized that I needed more experience and knowledge about this field. But how? Who could I ask for help? I was afraid to tell Hannah that I was incurring losses. She already had a lot on her plate. I was sitting in a park bench, all depressed and desolate about my situation, when I met a stranger named Milton. At first I thought he was just some random passerby. But I was so wrong. That random passerby ended up changing my life. He literally pulled me out from the brink of death. I'm really thankful that he decided to sit next to me that day. And I'm thankful that he initiated conversation with me. The only thing I can say is that my story wouldn't have continued without the kind stranger named Milton.